Hello again, welcome to the third part of what does it mean to be a disciple. Well, we've been saying, of course, that City Gate's mission is to see lives transformed every day across the Bay, by which we mean lives being transformed to become and grow as disciples of Jesus, those who are following him and pursuing him passionately. Now, I don't know about you, but I quite like the term disciple. I appreciate it's not culturally that relevant. If you said to your neighbour, I'm a disciple of Jesus, they might wonder what you're talking about. But there's something about it that's a bit more dynamic than sometimes is conveyed by the term Christian. Christian can mean a whole range of things. There's something dynamic about a disciple because it means I'm in training, I'm a learner, I'm an apprentice, I'm following, I'm becoming more like my teacher. That's what the word originally meant. That's why I like that word. So we've been asking, what does it mean to follow Jesus? How do I hear him? If I'm going to hear him, how do I hear him? So that I can follow him. We've been saying we hear him in his word and by his spirit and through his body, and then do whatever he tells us to do, which could at times be pretty costly. So we've spoken about listening to Jesus in his word, and we've spoken about listening to his spirit. And thirdly today, we follow him by seeing him at work in his body, the church. You see, being a follower of Jesus is not, it's personal, but it's not private. We are disciples together. We are a community of Jesus followers. And so I actually see the life of Jesus by his Spirit in people who are part of that family. I expect that. It's not just that I'm in this club with others who say they're Christians. No, I'm part of a temple, the dwelling place of God, where his life is being expressed in each of these people. And so I'm expecting to see the life of God, the life of Jesus, bits of what Jesus would be like. If he were here, I'm seeing and hearing from other people. That might be from being inspired by someone else's example. So Paul writes to the Corinthians and says, follow me as I follow the example of Christ. It's like Christ is out ahead and then Paul is following, and then he's saying to others, follow me as I'm following Christ, and we'll all move on together as followers of Jesus who's out in front. And we find that as well a bit more personally sometimes by rubbing shoulders with people a bit more closely. So one of the Proverbs says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. And it's a little bit like when I get close to people, sometimes it's a bit sparky. If you can imagine a couple of swords, a couple of bits of iron sharpening each other. There's some heat there sometimes, there's some sparks at times, but they are sharpening each other. And I need people to be sharpened against in my walk with Jesus. I'm learning from them. I'm seeing something of the life of God in them and something of what Jesus would be like, and being provoked to become more like that. Now, I've been in churches for decades. Some of you might have been as well. Others of you might be fairly new Christians. But I've been in churches for decades, and I can think of all sorts of people who've inspired me, all sorts of people who've shown me a little bit of what Jesus would be like in those situations. I can think of people who have been passionate prayers. We know Jesus was a passionate prayer. Sometimes I can struggle with that, and I'm provoked by and see something of what Jesus would be like in other people, in the churches I've been in. I can think of people who have been sold out for the mission, to be those who are making disciples, to be those who are reaching others with the good news of Jesus. And sometimes I can get a bit sluggish and I need the provocation of others. And I know that's what Jesus would be like. If he was here, he would be passionately on the mission of communicating the good news to others. I'm seeing something of his life in other people. I can think of even of families that I've known over time. And there's been something about them that's been very godly, and it's provoked me and helped me to see what I should be like and how I can be growing in those families. I can think of others who perhaps have got huge compassion for those who are suffering, and I think, yeah, Jesus would be like that. I'm provoked by that. I want to be more like that. It's like Jesus is speaking to me through those people about what he wants me to become like. Don't you think that would be an amazing community to be part of? What if Citygate was rubbing shoulders with one another in such a way that we could provoke one another to become more like Jesus? Well, that's our hope really for our DNA groups, that we'll be close enough and deep enough with one another and sparking off each other enough that we'll be able to provoke one another to become those who are following Jesus. And not just following him ourselves, but helping others to follow him too, to become disciple-making disciples. It's a hugely exciting prospect. I really hope you're on the journey. I really hope you're with us. And I trust that we will grow in following Jesus by hearing him in his word, by his spirit, and through his amazing body, the church.